So I just finished editing. Took me about 10 to 12 hours. I'm gonna render the video now and upload it. I feel like it starts off a bit slow, so if you want to, feel free to skip through the chapters. I'm gonna make some segues so you can see when I talk about what. And yeah, I hope you enjoy. So, I'm gonna talk a bit about semen retention and celibacy. I'm sure this is a known concept to a lot of you, and I hope that you all practice it or at least give it a try and see what it does to you. Real quick, for those of you who don't know, celibacy is the practice of voluntary abstinence of sexuality or sexual indulgence in all forms. Here are the things I'm gonna talk about a bit. I'm not gonna elaborate on them one after another. If you're interested, you can pause the video real quick, but I'll just get straight into it about what is sexual energy and semen. First of all, we're gonna start at the basis, which is energy and the man. You have a hierarchy, which is you have God, and then Christ, then the man, then the woman, and then the children. Everyone has an authority and somebody who he exercises power over, but also responsibility. Now, of course, in today's society, when we talk about power, it's all going to be, oh, what do you mean the man has power over the woman? No, this is not a tyrannical sort of power. This is more of like, if I'm responsible for you and I'm supposed to protect and provide for you, I should be the leader. And there's nothing tyrannical or wrong about that. This is how it would be in a natural society, not in a wicked fallen society like we have nowadays. And you can see it in the divorce rates and in the broken family structures that we're not going in nature's or God's way anymore. Because the man is supposed to be or is the head of the family, he has extra responsibility, right? He has different tasks. He is supposed to protect, he's supposed to provide, which means he's supposed to go and confront the dark forest with his brothers and fight for his life to hunt an animal and be endangered and this and that. He has to have an inner strength and character, and he needs more than the woman because he's supposed to do more, right? With great power comes great responsibility. Vice versa as well. That's why man receives this energy, and he is the first stop of this energy. Now, some of this energy will be given to a woman, but I'm going to talk about that. The energy starts off in the man after God, or well, if you want to say Christ. And man needs this energy to be man or to become man. A woman is born a woman. She is already valued by society. There is nothing else required for her to become a woman. All you have to do is preserve her, make sure she doesn't get ruined by society and by trauma or whatnot, and she's going to be an attractive individual in society. Whereas a man is born without an inherent value, and women won't really understand this, but men do, and there's mostly men on here. But we're not here to self-pity or whatever. This is just a fact, and again, no one has it better or worse. It's just two sides of the same coin. Which is why man receives this energy, because he has to make himself. He has to make himself into something of value. He has to suffer and endure in order to become something greater than the woman. Again, this is not sexist. I'm just gonna speak how it really is, and this might offend some people, which is totally fine. The reason a natural godly man, has more power and strength, and when I say power and strength, I'm not necessarily talking about the size of your biceps, but the strength of your character. How much is required for you to bend your morals and for you to be bought and do what you know isn't right? How much is required? The more that's required, the bigger your heart, the better of a man you are, the greater of a man you are. The closer you are to truly being in God's image, by the way. This is why man receives this energy. Man can use this energy for a lot of different endeavors. Number one, he can use it again for physical endeavors if he wants to physically provide or has to physically provide for his tribe and family. It will give you an edge. If he has mental tasks to do, if he has to strategize and whatever planning or whatever, he can also use this energy, so he can use it to strengthen his mental faculty. It will also give him natural benefits, just as I said, an inner strength and character, and a natural, not tyrannical, but natural kind of dominance. Now, it is the case that the woman wants children, she wants offspring. And in order to have offspring, she wants the man's seed. This is the desire placed into the woman in order to ensure procreation. But obviously there's two sides to this. So you also have to place a desire into man that makes him want to go to the woman in order that they have intercourse and procreate and ensure survival. It's like two magnets attracting one another. The woman wants the seed or the children, of course also the man, and the man wants the woman, right? He has the sexual energy and she has the the formless, the emptiness. If you want to look at it from a physical perspective, the man enters the woman and fills her up with his seed so that a child can be born. If you want to view it from the energetical perspective, the man enters the woman and fills her up with energy. This is what happens again because you have the poles, right? And there's also the physical representation. That's why I have a penis and you enter her because you are masculine, you are dominant, you are the plus sign. You get attracted and she is still and attracts. That's why you have to be made and she's naturally preserved. I think you kind of get what I'm saying. And so what's causing this attraction is the transmutation of energy, not sexual energy, energy into sexual energy. Because a portion, and how much this portion is varies depending on man, is transmuted into sexual energy, which will manifest itself in attraction towards women. The more sexual energy you have, the more attracted you will be to women, the more desire you will have for sex, the more competitive you will become with other males around a woman. It's similar to testosterone, and you could also say that testosterone is the physical equivalent to the energy. The same way the semen, the seed, is the physical equivalent to the sexual energy that's behind the semen, right? Because semen is not just something physical, it's something metaphysical, because this fluid is tremendously powerful. Out of this fluid stems a literal new self-generating and sustaining human life. There is more to it than just the physicality. That's why for those of you who are already a bit farther on the path and who have experimented with celibacy, you know how it feels like when you are conscious and aware, when you lose your essence, when you drain yourself, whether that is through masturbation or a woman. You can tell it's an energy loss. It's not just a physical loss of nutrients, although that also plays a part, of course. So the greater the transmutation from your body into sexual energy, the bigger is going to be the drive to engage with women. Now, the rest of this energy can be used for whatever you want to, for your goals, for your destiny, for your purpose, for creative endeavors, mental endeavors, physical endeavors, whatever you choose to do, whatever your calling is, whatever your conscience is guiding you towards, this energy should be used to work on your highest divine path and to get towards your highest goals. The more sexual energy you have, or the more energy you waste into sexual energy because of your enslavement to desire and lust, or the addiction of sex and lust, the less energy you will have available. Now, what happens when you do not use up this sexual energy and you resist your biological urge to seek out women or to procreate and have intercourse? What happens is that this energy has to be used up some way. You store more energy now, which means you will have more in every other endeavor that you pursue. Again, realize this from within, realize this from personal experience, not because I say this. When you resist the women and you resist the orgasm, because a lot of being attracted to women is actually a selfish desire of pleasure, especially nowadays society. Once you're able to resist this pull, which is an incredibly strong pull, and 99% of men hold no power over that because they lack the inner strength. Once you're able to get a hold of that and consciously choose what to do with this energy, you can achieve great things, and you can greatly speed up the pace at which you progress towards your destiny and purpose. When you do not release this energy, you have to find other channels, because energy has to be expressed. You cannot hold an infinite amount of energy. It's like you are a limited container. Once you're full, the energy will flow out. And usually, because of societal programming, you are used to have a downward stream, outwards of your genital, to transmute this into sexual energy and to let go of it. And afterwards, you become docile and lazy and you lay around because you achieved your goal. Whereas if you learn to slow down the sexual metabolism through restraint, if you learn to starve the demon so it flees from you, and your body is not accustomed to turning a big portion of that energy into sexual energy and keeping it for your goals, then what's going to happen over time is that this metabolism is going to slow down and you'll have more natural energy which wants to be expressed through achieving your goals, through going out there and conquering the world and competing. When it comes really down to it, achieving your divine God-given purpose. Because the energy pulls you towards that, and the more energy you waste on a woman, the less the pull to what you truly want, which is your purpose. It is always the same thing you have to sacrifice if you want a great thing. The greater the thing you want, the more responsibility you have to take on, the greater the sacrifice and the bigger the gift, right? That's why a woman should never become your purpose. And a lot of men nowadays, if you look in society, their purpose has become a woman because their physical bodies have been altered with through all the sexual media to the point where they turn so much energy and waste it for sexual endeavors. And then it has to express itself in some way. That's why they run after women. But a woman will never make you happy. A woman will never help you find or get to your purpose. A woman is never the end goal. But again, you need to understand this from within. I can't just explain this to you, and you can't expect to just be like, oh, okay, that's how it is, and not have desires or urges or whatever. This is an inner journey, but if you've gone through it, you know what I'm talking about. Another thing is that this energy is also going to be used to produce the metaphysical aspect of semen, the divine aspect, because again, it is literal life-giving fluid, and life comes out of a higher realm. It is not just physical. So energy is going to be used up. If you're constantly depleting yourself, you constantly have to restore this. That's why you will have less energy, less of a calling to your destiny and purpose. You'll be more lethargic, more weak, more short-term pleasure oriented rather than chasing your goals and doing what is maybe hard but right. And as you fill up, as you resist, and your stores are filled up and your body doesn't have to produce any more semen, you now have a much greater amount of energy at your disposal. And what you will notice is that all of a sudden the desire to follow your good habits, to work out, to eat healthy, to go on walks, to go on runs, to, I don't know, start a fucking YouTube channel, or to read your spiritual books, or to do whatever is in your journey right now, the pull will become much stronger. And if you're depleted once again, or if you're in a compromised, artificially altered state, you will either obsess over women or will have no desire to truly follow your goals. And both of these things, both of these ways will bring you to depression and away from God. So yeah, once you're full, you need to work on your goals, or to work out, or to do whatever, because you have too much energy, right? And you're not in living in a sexualized physical body anymore because you resist what tempts you. So now naturally, and this happens organically, once you start to get this under control over time, you will start to chase your goals like nothing else. This is what energy is here for you as a man to build and create and invent and to reach your destiny. That's why you have this energy and not the woman. Now look in society, a lot of women are very masculine nowadays and men have become very feminine. Why? Because we're giving them all of this energy. A woman absorbs her energy. Again, she is the void and you are the fullness. That's why when you come together, you form unity. That's why in a physical representation, you have the penis and she has the vagina, right? So real quick, for those of you who do not know, because I really suggest you practice celibacy, not nofap or semen retention, but celibacy. So nofap would mean that you can have sexual intercourse with a woman, you can look at pictures, you can look at videos, which all of that is gonna cause a release in energy, right? The intercourse is gonna cause the biggest release or loss of that energy, but also pictures and videos, mental edging will have a loss of sexual energy and will further encourage the production or the transmutation of energy into sexual energy, which is not what we want because it's going to distract us from our purpose. The next part will be semen retention. which means, again, by definition, you could technically masturbate, you can edge, you can look at pornography, you can even have sexual intercourse, but you do not release. Now, edging, whether that's mental or physical or sexual intercourse, will all have an energy release. You will lose energy doing these things. Any type of sexual engagement will cause a loss in energy. Of course, when you retain, you won't lose as much energy, but it's not going to be beneficial in the long run, because you want to conquer your sexual faculty and get it under control, not just make some sort of compromise or whatever. And that's why I suggest true celibacy, which means no thoughts. And when thoughts come up, which they will inevitably, especially in the beginning of the journey, they'll come even more, there is an acceptance, but an attempt at conscious redirection. It's not a suppression, it's a redirection, but also an acceptance. I wrote active resistance, which, yes, you resist the thoughts and you try to not engage and go down these thought patterns and feed the sexual faculty, which you want to start controlling and not be controlled by. That's also the reason that men are weak today, because they're enslaved to this sexual faculty, to their lust. And who controls their lust? The women. Therefore, the man becomes enslaved to the woman. This is what's happening nowadays. That's why you have weak men and strong women. It's all energy. On celibacy, though, you will not look at any pictures. You will not look at any videos. You won't even look at women. You make a covenant with your eyes, and you ask for strength from the divine or God to help you not look, because there's a release of dopamine and the loss of energy, even when you look. Very minor, but still is. And of course, no sexting or any other form of sexual content or sexual indulgence. This is what really is gonna be the fastest way to get this under control, not to be controlled by it. Transmute your energy so that you can finally chase and reach your goals. Now, here's going to be something which is probably going to be very interesting to those of you who read the Bible and who follow Jesus. And I really wanted to read you this because this clearly illustrates that Jesus advocates sexual celibacy. 1 Corinthians chapter 7. Now, concerning the things whereof you wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Of course, as already explained, you know why this is. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, not because he desperately wants you to do, no, to avoid sinning, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. Let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband. The wife hath not power over her own body, but the husband, and likewise also the husband hath not power over his own body, but the wife. This is what happens in sexual unity. Your flesh becomes one. You have a soul tie. You become united. And what is interesting is here, he says, but I speak this by permission and not of commandment. To avoid fornication, he allows us men of God to have a wife and to indulge sexually with her, because he knows not every man is destined or able to control the, second highest biological drive after survival. And so he allows you to do this because he knows how incredibly hard it is for a man to control this or overcome it, or even worse, suppress it because God said so and then explode because you cannot contain energy. It's not possible. It has to express itself in some way, right? That's why you have these Christian priests touching altar boys, because they have a good intention, but the energy has to express itself. And if you store it up and you store it up and you repress and repress, it's going to manifest itself in more extreme ways than it would have initially if you just would have worked with the energy rather than try to suppress it or pretend it's not there. And now listen to this. For I would that all men were as myself. Obviously, talking in the context of sexual indulgence, he wishes we were celibate. But every man hath his proper gift of God, one after this manner and another after that. Why is he talking about every man hath his proper gift of God right after he talks about sexual indulgence? Because if you pursue the path of celibacy, then this is because you have a greater purpose. You have a greater destiny requiring a greater sacrifice, but a greater gift. Some men have this gift, other men have that gift. And if you're one of those who are called to go on the path of celibacy because you have a greater destiny, you will also have a greater gift of God. Because everything you do will always have an effect. Everything, no matter how big or small. And when you choose to go on celibacy, what you give up, you will gain in other areas of your life. I can promise you that. And now we're going to come to why men of God and seekers practice celibacy. Of course, for us Christians, or for us who follow Jesus, because I wouldn't really consider myself religious, it is because we have recognized that this is the will of God. This is the higher way of being, and that's why we do it. Another reason is to let go of demonic possessions. What you have to realize is that lust and these desires, they're not merely physical. Because as you remember in the beginning, I talked about sexual energy. Where is the energy? I can't see it. It is in higher realms. It is metaphysical. And in these higher realms, such as the spirit realm, there are entities, there are demons, which will induce desire within you if they are allowed to attach themselves to your spiritual body. Once you starve these by resisting them, resist that devil and he shall flee from you. Once you free yourself from these chains, you will find freedom, and you can finally do what you're called to do. You can also view this from a Buddhist perspective. Eliminate desire and you eliminate suffering, right? Obviously, it is also because we have recognized the higher ways. We have recognized truth, and we choose to live in truth. By practicing celibacy, you live on a higher form of truth. Many things are true, but there is but one truth, and depending from your standpoint from which you view the truth, you will see something else. So if you're farther down the path, you will recognize this is the truth, this is the true path. I want to go beyond, transcend this realm. And obviously you will receive a lot of benefits. I'm going to talk about the physical, mental, metaphysical and spiritual benefits, but also you will receive the fruits of the spirit, which is part of the spiritual benefits. But you will receive, more empathy, more love for people, more holiness, more humbleness. Not necessarily, because it can induce your ego as well. Let's real quick though analyze why the world does semen retention. And this is not only the world, this is also going to be part in you, because it's not just like, oh, we're just men of God and all of them are just evil and bad and we're the good ones. No. There's part of both in everybody. And so what I want you to do is introspect and see if the things which I'm going to talk about right now apply to you. So the reason the world does semen retention is because of mainly vanity. This entails all forms of vanity. Probably on the highest of that hierarchy is going to be female attraction. They want sex, they want female validation, they want to indulge. But to retain, just to have a bigger bundle of release, is nothing but a glorified relapse. Now, if you have social anxiety and you're earlier on the path and women still scare you, or you're fearful of engaging with women or whatnot, then by all means do that. Make your experiences so you can overcome this and continue on your journey of growth. Obviously what you have to realize is that whenever you sexually indulge with a person, you not only absorb the good stuff, you also absorb the bad stuff. And if you are to engage with a person in a sexual act, which tends to engage with a lot of persons in sexual acts, that is probably going to be the person who has a lot of demons attached to them. I'm just going to say how it is. Some men, and again there's probably a little bit of that in all of us, even myself, we have to be honest with ourselves, is we do it for muscle gain. Because it's a real thing. When your body's not constantly compromised and required to produce this incredibly potent fluid, then you'll have a greater muscle gain. You have to make sure that this doesn't tip over into self-obsession or an attachment to your looks. If you find yourself looking in the mirror and staring in the mirror at all times, this is not a good thing. You shouldn't be attached to these things. But again, there's parts of that in all of us to varying degrees. Just keep that in check. Another thing, or another reason why the world practices semen retention, is to induce their ego and to attain this impenetrable shell of narcissism, because they have a greater energy. This is what happens inevitably once you embark on this journey, because in the beginning you don't know how to handle this energy. Your spirit isn't strong enough, so your ego takes over and induces itself with this energy. This is actually counterproductive, because if you understand anything, then God resists those who are proud, and pride is what's going to be blinding you from staying humble and staying open and accepting correction, so you can work on yourself, improve and go to a better place. Because if you're already all that, then where are you going to improve? Right? The degree to which you have ego or narcissism is going to be the degree to which you prevent yourself from learning and elevating yourself and getting to a better place in the long run. So make sure you don't fall to it. You keep it in check. And again, Introspect. If you do it out of insecurity because you fear engaging with women, you fear it too much, and so you would rather take the route of just having a moral high ground and just saying, you're wicked and immoral for doing what you actually kind of want to do. If you use it to judge other men because they do what you kind of want to do, but you fear doing that too much, so instead of overcoming your fear, you would rather just use a form of moral superiority to judge them and not do what you fear. This is weakness, right? We shouldn't do this. We also shouldn't judge people who do anything other than our path. We should stay humble, stay pure, and stay loving to everybody. But of course, remember when we should remove ourselves from persons or stop talking about higher topics because they don't perceive or understand. But I think you know what I'm hinting to. Don't use it to have a moral high ground or to run away and not face your fears. I prefer a person who does immorality but at least confronts their fears and works for something to attain something than the guy who just uses morality so he doesn't have to confront what he fears. The guy who actually does the wicked stuff is going to get to a better place at the end, because if he continues to grow, if he continues to face his fears and try to be better, eventually he will find to God and he will find the higher ways. Whereas the guy who just uses it as a means of cope, he'll be stuck, right? Because he'll always have the desire. The desire won't be eliminated because he will lack inner understanding. So he would always want to do it, but because he can't, he pretends to be morally better. But given the right situation, he would indulge like everybody else. You see the difference between, I'm gonna give you a good example. The difference between Andrew Tate and the incel in what they want is none. It's just one has worked to achieve it and the other one hasn't. I'd rather be with the guy who has worked to achieve it, even though he sins more. But at least he's done something for it. He's sacrificed at least something, you know? This guy is closer to a true man of God than the guy who is too fearful to go that route and so just uses morality as a means of cope. So let's get to the physical benefits. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, when you're not in a constant state of depletion, all of a sudden your body has all of this energy and it will intelligently distribute this to wherever it's needed, which will result in greater health, healing, vigor, vitality. You'll have more energy and drive as a result, and you'll have more testosterone, more fuller hair, also beard hair, a deeper voice, and of course greater muscle gain. Now if you go on Google and you look at studies or whatever, there's a lot of conflicting studies, and you'll probably get to the conclusion that it doesn't actually increase testosterone, but from a brother to another, I can only tell you it does, because the effects are real. My voice has gotten deeper, I have more muscles, I'm more naturally dominant, and I'm more inclined to chase my goal and to be competitive, and it's undeniable. It's undeniable. Give it a try. Give it a try. And if you really want to know, there's a lot of subreddits where men who go on SR actually take monthly testosterone tests, and you can see that they have a 2x, 3x increase. Another thing is you will require less sleep. After a month or two, you can expect to sleep 5 to 6 hours, depending on age, a bit more or less. Wake up and be ready, full with energy, and not be tired or lethargic all throughout the day, because you just need less sleep, right? Because the energy already revitalizes you and energizes you, so less sleep is required. Also less replenishing of this incredibly potent vital fluid. The next thing is physical beauty. Now obviously this is subjective, but if we all have the same subjective experience, you could almost call it objective. I mean, I dare you, go 2 weeks and look at your eyes. They'll be brighter, they'll be more open, they'll look nicer. And also skin will clear up. Another thing which I've noticed is posture. Your posture becomes better. You walk more upright, more confident. So let's talk a little bit about the mental benefits. I think the first thing that we notice is that the brain fog disappears. You have a sharper mind and a clearer thinking. All of a sudden you find yourself speaking in a more articulate manner. You will have a better vocabulary. The words will flow more effortlessly, and you'll be faster to have good answers. You'll be more witty. It's because the fog is gone and you have full access to your mental faculty. It will also seem like you have a higher IQ. Now, I would honestly argue that you probably would have a better score on an IQ test on a longer streak of semen retention, because everything just works better. So if your mind works better, you're going to have a higher score. And I don't think it's that is your IQ is actually increasing. It's just you have more access to what you already have. See, when you have, let's say, an IQ of 120, but you have brain fog, you can't access everything in your subconscious. You can't make use of all the faculties. So you're working at a compromised level. And another thing is, will have less perverse thoughts. Obviously, the sexual energy will manifest itself in your mental faculty, and once you starve it out or transmute it, you will have less perverse thoughts. Now, some metaphysical benefits, I won't get too much into this because this is hard to explain. You have to experience this for yourself, but you'll have a stronger energy, a stronger presence. People will notice when you walk into a room, they'll turn around, they'll notice you more. Animals and children will be more drawn to you, and people will respect you more. You'll have better connections with people and better conversations. Now, in my personal opinion, I don't have more people I connect with, actually less, because I walk contrary to the world. But the people that I do connect with, I feel them more, and it is a better exchange of energy, more intimate, and therefore we have deeper and better conversations and a greater feeling of feeling connected with one another. And another thing is reading intention, but I'll talk more about that in the spiritual benefits, which I'm gonna get to right now. The main spiritual benefit, or one of the strongest ones, is actually an inner peace and bliss that is not bound to the physicality. And anybody on the path of spiritual self-denial or the journey to God can attest to that when you let go of the pleasures, a peace that's not bound to pleasure will overcome you, and you'll actually feel better even though you have less. Rationally, this doesn't make sense, but its spirituality is on a higher level, right? That's why we are called to forego pleasures, but yet we get to a better place, even though rationally, logically, it doesn't make sense. How can you feel better by having less? You'll have a more balanced state. Your nervous system, your dopamine system, it will all be more balanced, which will also help in the production of your hormones. You'll just be a more balanced and calm person in general. So another benefit is going to be the benefit that you can read people's energy more. You know what their intentions are. You know who they are and what they really mean, rather than what they say and where their stance really is. This is because energy always speaks louder than words. See, you can say the same thing as somebody else, but you can come from a different standpoint, and the standpoint is usually what's going to be communicated, because we humans don't communicate by words necessarily, but more so by subtle facial expressions and by demeanor and tonality and things such as that, mainly energetically, because we are energetical beings. So when you have more energy, it is like you have a stronger field to receive other people's energy, and therefore you can more accurately judge where they're really coming from and what their intention really is. Again, personal experience, but anybody who does celibacy or who practices celibacy has the same experiences. Next thing is luck, being favored in whatever you pursue. Now, obviously, I don't believe in luck. I only believe in variables not understood by humans. But the divine or God will definitely be on your side, and it will appear lucky, but you won't. You will know it's not luck. It's you following a higher set of rules. And obviously, spiritually, when you eliminate demonic entities, you will clean up your essence so that the Spirit of God can shine through you more. Scripture of the Bible comes to mind where it says, "You have to decrease so I can increase." This is God speaking to you. When you deny your flesh and your ego, God is allowed to fill that part up which you have denied and shine through you, make you a being in His image, rather than a being of the image of your own mental projections or ego mind. And He's more able to use you and speak through you to whoever is interacting with that person. Obviously, this is also why when we give up the pleasures, we receive more bliss and peace. Because when you let go of the ego mind happening in duality, and God's Spirit fills up the part which you have self-denied, you'll feel better. The Spirit of God is giving you peace and bliss, right? And empathy and love, and all of these greater gifts will shine through you. Because the Spirit of God is dwelling inside of you. A stronger conviction of things, a louder conscience. Do you know what your conscience is? Do you listen to your conscience? If not, you might be surprised that there's a voice in your head which is going to become louder and going to tell you the things you need to change and stop doing to become who you are meant to be. You'll have more empathy. When you are holy, when you are good, you'll extend the sense of self outwards into the world, and you want to uplift others rather than drag them down to your level. That is the nature of a man of God. Now, there are some dangers of practicing celibacy. Number one is less of a danger, but rather a certainty, a negative certainty, and that is going to be spiritual warfare. When you escape the chains of Satan and the kingdom of Satan, he will attack you because he wants to get you back. And he will give you many different things, and initially you will have even increased urges. It's an irony, right? You want to stop doing something and now you want to do it even more. This is spiritual warfare. This is the demon screaming because it's starving. That's why you have increased urges, seemingly stronger temptations. If you repress it and don't transmute it well, and we all fall in this with this initially in the journey, so don't worry too much if that's you. You will even have new kinks or new sexual desires or even more perverse thoughts, and you'll do new things you didn't used to do before. But don't let that discourage you. This is just part of the withdrawal and of the spiritual warfare. And yeah, new more extreme sexual behaviors temporarily. Expect this, especially if you've been heavily addicted for, I don't know, a decade or even longer. You can definitely expect this repressed energy to manifest itself in some unknown and strong ways, because it takes a little while for the body to change the way energy is being used and to slow down the transmutation of energy into sexual energy, and to make you use that energy up in your goals and whatever it is that you're doing. Another danger is female attraction. Now, for some, this is a benefit. For us, men of God or spiritual people, truly spiritual people who care about the Spirit of God, this is actually sort of a danger, because it is just a temptation, it is just a danger. This doesn't mean you can't use celibacy to attract a good wife and have children and procreate. All the power to you, there's nothing wrong with that. But just know that, there's going to be a lot of surface level, ego inspired female attraction, especially in the beginning, especially when it's also still inducing your ego and you can't really handle all that power yet. So it's corrupting you. That's when you're really susceptible, add a little bit of female attraction to that, and probably gonna fall given the right situations. But obviously, God willing, He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. And of course, another big danger, again inevitable, especially for those early on the journey, pride and ego. Recognize it, realize it, and then shed it. Pray it away. What I ask God is to make me who He wants me to be, not who I want to be. And I find myself reverting to a more childlike being whenever I do that, and I truly want it. One more danger, or it's just a negative thing, is sleeping disturbances. I had severe sleeping disturbances to where I couldn't sleep, and it would jack up my sleeping schedule because I had too much energy and it wasn't all properly aligned. It will fix itself and even out again eventually over time, but when you're going through the withdrawal and rewiring process, expect some sleeping difficulties or disturbances where you wake up at night or whatever. It's gonna all happen. Another part of the rewiring process, and again, this is a good thing because it means your body is changing the channel on how it's going to use your energy, from sexual energy to putting it towards your purpose, is the flatline. This is also, I think, inevitable if you have been addicted. This will manifest itself in no morning woods, zero libido whatsoever. You're going to feel lethargic and tired and lazy. You're going to feel like this whole thing is just a waste of time and placebo and not real. But again, get through that and you'll get the quote unquote benefits again, because it's not really benefits, it's just you're stepping into a new modality of being, right? They stop being benefits after a while, they become the new norm, so you kind of forgot what you have gained. So it's also part of the journey that you fall again and like, oh shit, that's how I feel now, damn, I know this is definitely the better way. But sometimes you gotta taste it again to remember what it was like. But yeah, flatline is a good sign, you're on the right track. And yeah, unwanted release of energy because of a lack of transmutation goes hand in hand with the new and more extreme sexual behaviors, because the energy has to be released in some way or form. If you sit there and you don't do anything, no matter how much willpower you have, you will jerk off. You have to do something, either working out or whatever. I find myself sleeping 5 to 6 hours a night and working out twice a day after a month, 1.5 months, as a 20-year-old male. Now, there are obviously also dangers of indulgence. And these dangers are actually permanent, or for however long you indulge. Number one is decreased energy and motivation, because you're again in a state of depletion, so you need to allocate energy to the production of your seed, and this will cause you to have less energy for other things, which will mean decreased energy and motivation. You're going to be more prone to sickness and disease as well, because your body has less resources to fight off all the negative things attacking your body, which there's plenty of, especially in today's day and age and society we live in. And there's also a little bit of a spiritual aspect, which is you're more prone to demonic possession, because sexual indulgence opens portals for demons to come, unless you do it in a godly way of marriage, right? You have a husband and wife in the name of God. You will open portals, and this will allow for entities to come through and enslave you through desire. Also, it will make you a slave to sin in general. Notice yourself after you relapse, you are much more inclined to run after empty dopamine stimulation. That's what sins really are when it gets down to it. It is short-term pleasure that doesn't lead you anywhere. In a sense, you can say wasting your time in the bed watching YouTube videos is a sin as well. It is a sin, because it is of the devil. You're feeding the wrong part in yourself. Just notice, introspect, be aware, conscious after you've relapsed. How do you feel? What are your desires? And what are your desires after you've gone for a few weeks on SR? All of a sudden you want to chase your goals, and you have much more desire to do the thing that is actually hard, but you want to do it now because it's going to lead you to the better place. So why wouldn't you do it? Because you're much more holy. You're already more content by nature, so you don't need as much stimulation to fill the void. Another thing is it shuts the conscience. When spirit leaves you, when this energy leaves you, your conscience will become quieter, and you'll be more inclined to act against your conscience, which will bring you into misery down the path. And it will also cause a social anxiety. If you're heavily indulging, it will take away that natural God-given manly presence and dominance, and you'll become a little boy who's scared and weak and socially anxious. And yeah, it's obviously gonna keep you from what you truly want in life, which is to reach your deepest purpose, your deepest desire, your destiny, what God has set out for you to accomplish on this planet, right? Life is short, and the longer you waste it doing meaningless short-term pleasure things, the smaller is gonna be the time frame you have to finally reach what you came here to reach. So it can ruin your life. Essentially, it can ruin your life. Of course, for those of us who have a interpersonal relationship with the divine or God, you're letting down your Father, because He knows He wants what's best for you, and of course He's going to continue loving you and help you get back up, and still going to let Him down. You're going to let yourself down. So just to mention that. Now, why are there seemingly so many people, and I see this on my channel as well, who are so quick to judge this practice? It is insane how fast people are to mock you when you talk about these things. And I want you to understand that there's a reason, because this is a spiritual warfare that we're living in. When you talk about these godly practices, and I want to say real quick that not only men of God engage in celibacy, there are witches who use semen retention and celibacy to attain powers, but they do not use the powers to find their destiny and purpose. They abuse these powers and throw it into an empty void to get some temporary powers. So it doesn't mean that all who do celibacy are of God, by the way. Don't be deceived. Use your own discernment. Just wanted to mention that. I don't know why. But recognize it is of spiritual warfare. So when you talk about these things, demons will get aggravated in people, and they'll start attacking you, because you will evoke their own conscience and their own inner conflict, which is going to make them feel uncomfortable. So they have to let that out on you. I don't know how many comments I've received of people saying I'm stupid with my pseudoscience and I'm completely brainwashed, a slave to social media, and started to insult my looks and said, oh, your God wants you to get prostate cancer, bro, how stupid are you? Why would you do SR? It's like, bro, look, Harvard said it's going to give you prostate cancer. And I understand if God hasn't convicted or shown you that most of the system is of the devil and designed to enslave you, which is why all the studies you will find is that, oh, it's not good, it's going to give you prostate cancer. But if you have discernment, you know that these people, they don't come from a standpoint of wanting to find truth or living in truth. It's not about, oh, they're scared of it's gonna give them prostate cancer, that's why they don't do it. No, they don't want to confront their own conscience. They don't want to have to deny themselves. They don't want to do what is hard. They would rather stay in their chains of short-term pleasure and do what is easy in the now, because they lack wisdom and the humility to attain the wisdom, to know that it would actually be better for them were they to listen. But their pride won't allow them. That's why it is important we stay humble and we do not be like the world, which is very prideful and quick to judge and mock. Just be aware of that. The people who will mock you, they won't come from a standpoint of they've actually looked for truth or they're seeking. It's just cognitive dissonance. They just want to continue in their wicked ways, and anybody who awakens their own conscience and causes an inner conflict, they're just gonna start attacking them. It's a spiritual thing. The demons will start attacking you. That's why you probably, if you truly go down these hardcore paths of following God, you won't have a lot of friends. Because whenever you talk about something you truly want to talk about, you evoke their conscience, and there's going to be a hostile energy, a hostile environment, and some tension. Because again, we're energetical beings interacting with one another, and there's a spiritual realm, and if you're not the same in the spirit, there's no match. You can't. And yeah, also because these people, they lack personal accountability, they lack discipline, and that's why they just want to continue in their wicked ways and mock everybody who says something else. Look what they did to Jesus, Jesus said, if the world hates you, remember they hated me first. And it's interesting how much hate I actually receive on my comments, get a job, insulting my looks, and this and that, but it doesn't get to me. I'll gladly carry this load to reach some of you guys who truly can get something from these videos. That's why it doesn't get to me. God shows me, like, yo, it doesn't hurt me at all. I don't know. I feel bad for these people, because it's like, instead of humbling yourself and giving it a try and recognizing it's going to lead you to a better place, they would rather continue in their self-destruction and can't do more than try, So I'll gladly take the hate for you guys. Don't worry about it. I'll continue making these videos. I'm sure you've heard of the Agent Smith effect, once you start talking about things such as 10, 12, -1, or the thingy isn't so good for you, or any of these things, it's like, oh, what, but the news said this, because you gotta realize, when these people get irritated because you start talking about these things, you have to realize it's because their whole concept of reality and the whole way they think about the system and how life should be is going to shatter once they accept what you say is true. Because this means they have to shatter what they see, what they think about the news. They have to shatter what they think about themselves, what they think the truth is to be, what they think about the government. Maybe they aren't actually who they say they are, and then what else are they lying? It's just gonna shatter their whole worldview if they accept that, yeah, they are actually spraying stuff in the air, or no, there is actually something in this thing, or they actually do want to. I'm not gonna say it out because this will flag my channel. Maybe you get what I said, but Agent Smith effect. Real quick, I don't want to lose too much words on this because this is a video in of itself, and I also have to make sure what I say on this channel because I already am flagged or have a strike. There's a war of masculinity. When you retain the essence, you are more prone to stand up for what you believe to be is true, even though you might be in a room full of people who disagree with you, because you have character, you have the true currency, not the materialistic currency. You have true currency which cannot be bought, which is true character, focusing on righteousness above all, true masculinity. And they know that once they weaken men through the woman, which is man's kryptonite, they can weaken the last resistance and the backbone of society, and then infiltrate the society and turn them into modern day Babylon. And we're on that path, into total enslavement, totalitarianism, and modern day Babylon, void of any morality, and just everybody just doing what's wicked and wrong. That's why all the family structures are breaking down, marriages aren't lasting, children don't have both their parents, and everything's breaking down when you forego the higher morals, the higher laws of God. And there's many different ways they attack masculinity. One of them is a hormonal attack. This is with medicines, microplastics, and the promotion of certain diets. I'm not going to mention which ones, you should probably already know, but I'm just saying that Cholesterol and saturated animal fats are the building block for testosterone, which tends to make you more disagreeable and more paranoid and questioning rather than very agreeable like women. Because if you notice, the people who choose to follow this diet, they don't become more moral, but they become weaker, because the modern world confuses weakness with morality a lot of the times. Shout out to Nietzsche. Of course, attack of sexual perversion, attempting to strengthen your own sexual faculty so that you transmute your energy into sexual energy and just release it and throw it out into the world instead of actually following God and your conscience. Because if they can get you to waste this energy, that's going to lead you back to the kingdom and to the truth. They can keep you in chains, they can keep you docile, but they have to keep making you release that energy, and they do this by using demons through sexual desire, right? Through sexual addictions. That's why it's in all the movies and all the games and all the songs systematically. Look at the charts, look what they promote. Guns, violence, drugs, bitches, sex, money. It's just checklist, deadly sin to enslave you, because the music industry is of the devil. Again, you should know this already. And again, ultimately, who is owning the school system, the political system, the news, the music industry? It's a hierarchy, but when you go on top, it is the ruler of this world, which is Satan. That's why we are not of this realm. We don't belong here. We are meant to transcend, walk contrary to the world, be mocked just as Christ was. But in the end, we will win. See, if you look at movies, it's always the villain wins the whole entire movie. But right before the end of the movie, good prevails and good wins. And we all have an instinctive understanding of this. Even those who choose to walk the ways of the world, they still know, because they still have a conscience. But it's free will. God allows you to choose what you want to do with that free will. So yeah, that's pretty much it, dude. Respect yourself, keep going on the journey, and may the Lord give you strength to do what you know you should be doing, and we're all gonna make it. We're all gonna make it. Just keep going on the path, and we're gonna get there. Alright? Thank you for watching. If you watched it this far, thank you so much actually, and I hope I could help you with something, or I could give you something which you didn't know, or somehow my video has given you value. That's what I hope. That's why I'm making these videos, because I feel called and I cannot help myself but to make this video. So if you've gotten anything from this, then just let me know. That's the only reason I'm doing it. So yeah, thank you.